Your hard work isn't failing. You're just playing a game you aren't designed to win. Every day, you pour hours into your craft, your study, or your business. And every night, you feel like you're exactly where you started. You're exhausted. You're frustrated. And worst of all, you're starting to believe that your potential is capped. But what if I told you that your progress isn't missing? It's just invisible. You are currently trapped by your own obsession with results while ignoring the only law that actually builds empires, the law of accumulation. Most of you are currently at 211 degrees. At 211 degrees, water is just hot. It looks exactly the same as it did at 100 degrees. There is no steam. There is no power. There's no movement. And that is exactly when 99% of you quit. You assume because you don't see the breakthrough isn't coming. But you aren't failing. You are compounding. Every discipline choice you made this week, every time you chose the hard path when you could have taken a shortcut, was a deposit into your success ledger. You are accumulating energy. You are building the pressure. You are 1 degree away from a steam that moves mountains. But here is the danger. If you don't aim that pressure, it evaporates. You need a target. You need a destination. You need something that tells your mind exactly where all that accumulated energy is supposed to go. This is where Tracy discovered something fascinating. After studying thousands of highly successful people, he noticed a pattern. The people who achieved extraordinary results weren't necessarily smarter. They weren't necessarily more talented. And they certainly weren't more lucky. But they all had one thing in common: clarity. They knew exactly what they wanted. While everyone else was hoping, wishing, and drifting through life, they were operating with precise coordinates. And that brings us to what Tracy called one of the most powerful habits ever discovered: the one paper rule. One piece of paper. 3 goals. That's it. Not 20 goals. Not a vision board with 50 pictures. Not a complicated productivity system. One sheet of paper. 3 goals written in the present tense. Because the moment you write something down, something changes. An idea stops being a fantasy and starts becoming an objective. Most people keep their goals floating around in their heads. That's a mistake. The human mind is crowded. Thousands of thoughts enter and leave every day. Ideas appear. Ideas disappear. Desires come and go. But when you write a goal on paper, you give it weight. You give it permanence. You tell your brain, this matters. And your brain listens. Right, I am financially free. I run a successful business. I am disciplined and physically strong. Not I want. Not I hope. Not one day. The subconscious mind doesn't respond to wishes. It responds to identity. The words you repeatedly feed your mind become instructions. And those instructions slowly become beliefs. Those beliefs become actions. Those actions become habits. And those habits become your future. Think about it. Every day someone tells themselves, I'm bad with money. I'm not disciplined. I'm not confident. I'm just not that type of person. They are programming themselves, whether they realize it or not. The subconscious mind is always listening, always recording, always collecting evidence. And eventually it builds a reality that matches the story it hears most often. That's why the one paper rule is so powerful. It interrupts the old story and replaces it with a new one, a deliberate one, an intentional one, a story chosen by you instead of inherited from your fears. But it gets even more interesting, because writing the goal isn't the real magic. Reading it is. Every morning, every single morning, Tracy recommended reading your goals before the world has a chance to distract you, before the notifications, before the emails, before the noise. You read them slowly. You visualize them. You imagine them as already accomplished. And something remarkable begins to happen. Your reticular activating system turns on. Now that sounds complicated, but you've experienced it before. Imagine buying a specific car. Suddenly you see that car everywhere. Imagine learning a new word. Suddenly everyone seems to be using it. The opportunities didn't suddenly appear. Your awareness changed. And that's exactly what the reticular activating system does. It acts like a filter. Every second, millions of pieces of information pass through your senses. But your brain can't process all of it. So it decides what's important, and it does that based on what you repeatedly focus on. When you read your goals every day, you are giving your brain new instructions. You are telling it, find opportunities related to this. Pay attention to this. Look for solutions here. And suddenly ideas start appearing. Books appear. Mentors appear. Business opportunities appear. Connections appear. Not because the universe changed, because your focus changed. The successful aren't seeing a different world. They're paying attention to different things. And over time, that difference becomes enormous. One opportunity seems small. One idea seems insignificant. One conversation seems ordinary. But remember what this entire video is about. Accumulation. The first deposit never looks important. Neither does the second, or the 10th, or the 100th. But eventually they become a fortune. The same thing happens with opportunities. One small opportunity leads to another. One decision creates another. One door opens the next. And before long, people look at your success and call it luck. They never see the years of accumulated focus that created it. They never see the countless mornings spent programming the direction of your mind. They only see the result, never the process. Which brings me to something that honestly keeps me awake at night. There's a version of you existing in the future. The version that achieved the goals. The version that built the business. The version that became disciplined. The version that became powerful. And right now, that person is watching. They are watching every excuse, every distraction, every promise you make to yourself and break. They are watching you choose comfort over growth. They are watching you scroll instead of build. And every single day, they are asking the same question. Are you coming? Because every morning you read that piece of paper, you're not just reading goals. You're reporting for duty. You're telling your future self, I haven't arrived yet, but I'm on my way. I'm making deposits. I'm building pressure. I'm becoming the person you're waiting for. And one day, after enough deposits, after enough discipline, after enough mornings spent reading that paper, the impossible begins to feel inevitable. The steam appears, the train begins to move, and the breakthrough that seemed invisible suddenly becomes undeniable. If this message resonated with you, subscribe and join us on the journey. In the comments, write down the 10 goals you want to achieve. Make them clear, make them bold, make them real. Then come back to this video years from now and tell us which ones became reality. Your future is being written today. Start making deposits.